This bike and this fridge has something in common. Unfortunately, their previous owners threw them away and saw no value for them anymore. Now the fridge, I can kind of get. I've had a look inside that thing and it's disgusting. But there's no excuse for this thing. This thing's an absolute beast. It's a bit old, it needs some love. What's special about this is we're going to rebuild it, and I'm actually going to find a new owner for it as well. So one of you guys watching have the opportunity to win this thing, and there's going to be instructions on how to do so at the end of this video. I hope you enjoy this build. Let's get started. In the UK alone, it's estimated that over 200,000 bikes are thrown away every single year. And if you're new to the channel, we try and save as many of those bikes as possible, just like this Giant. Before I start talking to you about what I have planned for this bike, whilst we're stripping it down, let's talk a little bit about Giant, because their history is quite impressive. In the early 70s, manufacturing in the US was on the decline. Labour costs were high, factories were old, and bike brands such as Schwinn, who were huge at the time, were looking at alternative ways to manufacture their bikes. And that's how Giant was born. They were based out in Taiwan, so it meant that things could be manufactured way cheaper. So brands like Schwinn, well, they jumped all over it. Now at this point, all Giant was doing was manufacturing for other bike brands and nothing else. At first, the partnership worked perfect. It meant Schwinn could be more competitive in the marketplace. However, in the early 80s, Giant decided to do their own thing, manufacturing their own bikes under their own brand. Schwinn was not best pleased. Now, what's interesting about this particular bike is that it has a sticker on it and it says made by Giant in Europe, which kind of contradicts what we're saying here. But I did a bit more research and it turns out that the Dutch actually assembled a lot of the bikes for Giant. So again, made by Giant in Europe. Don't know if it was actually manufactured there. If anyone knows for certain where this bike was made, I would love to know, because it was only in 2018 when they invested 15 million euros into building a factory in Hungary, specifically to build e-bikes. So what is built in Taiwan? All I know is that today, ironically, Giant are absolutely massive and they manufacture the most amount of bikes compared to anyone in the world. It's a pretty impressive journey in my opinion. Back to the build. Right now I've removed the headset cups and installing some new ones, and I'm using the headset press tool to get those in evenly into the frame. You can use a hammer and a block of wood, but from my experience it actually pushes them in at a dodgy angle and it can make the cups weak. Now my tool's not even that great, it doesn't even fit in the cups correctly, but it's better than whacking with a hammer. For the wheels, we're using the arrayers that came off the Diamondback on the last build. And a little trick, rim tape, in my opinion, is no good. It snaps, it's weak, it moves around and creates gaps into the spokes and creates punches. So just use electrical tape, it's way better. So what's my vision for this bike? Well, back in the 90s, I used to race motocross bikes and I had a bright green Kawasaki KX60 and I loved that thing. The styling back then was so cool with the bright pinks and blues. So I figured, how about we take some of that styling and put it on this bike and see how it turns out. So that's the wheels and tyres on the bike. And as you can see, I'm using the Maxxis ringworm tyres, which I was a bit nervous about at first because they're 2.5s, which is quite wide, but luckily I've got plenty of room in the fork in the frame. All of the parts that I use on this build will be in the description of this video. But if you're ever rebuilding a bike yourself and you get stuck on sizing or what parts to use, just give me a shout on Instagram and I'll try my best to help you. To keep with the motocross theme, I've gone for these MX style bars that I've managed to get from eBay and this stem from United. Remember, you need a converter in order for this to work. So I was waiting for the cassette to arrive and I thought in the meantime I'd get the rear mech on. However, later on I find out that actually this mech wasn't quite suitable for the size of the cassette. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. I felt the bars were sitting a little bit too wide for my liking, so I've taken about an inch off using my rusty, battered old hacksaw. I noticed this really cool turquoise colour in the graphic and thought that would be perfect for the grips. And I managed to find these ones from DMR, which were a perfect match. To keep with the 90s theme, I've got to use some pink somewhere. And I managed to find this outer cable, which is perfect. I was thinking of doing it on the brakes as well, but I thought it might just be a bit too much. We're in the bike stand now, just to fine tune the gears and the brakes, and immediately I noticed a slight buckle in the rear wheel. That's not a problem, as long as you've got a spoke key, you can fine tune it. People will argue that you actually need a wheel truing stand for this, but as long as you're careful, you can actually do it within the bike. So back to the rear mech. When I was setting it up, it wasn't quite aligning in the right way. It was hitting on the frame, and when I screwed the B screw in, it would then be clinging on for dear life. And when I put it into the lowest gear, it would just be really tensioned too tight. And then it dawned on me, the whole thing was too big. It was actually designed for a bigger cassette, not this size. So I just got a smaller one with a shorter cage, and it worked perfect. So that's the bike complete, and we're going to take it out for a test ride very shortly. Now I've got some more bikes in the works, such as this Diamondback, but we've also got a Saracen, another GT, an Orange, a Klein, and also a Claude Butler that's giving me a little wink over there. So we've got some more builds up and coming, and I'm hoping to get these out more regularly. But for now, let's take the Giant out for a spin.
So the route we're going on today is we're starting off here in Stamford Hill, and we're going to go through Finsbury Park, up into Camden, around Regent's Park, past King's Cross, and then we're finishing off at a motocross track. Well, in fact, it's a BMX motocross track. But I hope you enjoy the footage. Let's go.
So let me tell you about how it rides. Now, you can't see my face while cycling. However, I had a massive smile on it. This bike is so much fun. The front end's quite short and the geometry is quite aggressive. So it means it's really responsive. Perfect for any city like London. Now as for the wheelie check, well, it passed with flying colours. It was so easy to lift the front end, and I think it could have gone on for way longer. I'm almost at the BMX track now, and this is where I got a little bit nervous. The bike's not really designed to be jumped, so I wanted to take it easy, but I still had a lot of fun. Now aren't councils just amazing? It's been 2 weeks and the fridge is still here. Now I want to grow this channel as much as possible. In order to do that, I need your guys' help. I need lots of views and lots of subscribers because I've got some big plans for future projects. Now, as for this bike, one of you guys watching will have the opportunity to win it. All you need to do is hit subscribe and comment below your favorite memory of riding a bike. So that can be from when you were a kid, maybe commuting to work, hanging out with your friends, or even a big crash. Whatever it is, get it in the comments below. I'll be reading them all, and my top 10, I'll be putting into a hat, and I'll draw one live on my Instagram. Hopefully today's video has given you the inspiration to maybe even build a bike yourself, or at the very least, get out on your bike more. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.